The 8 motivational challenges I'm reluctant to take on new tasks and embrace challenge. How can I change? I start projects with enthusiasm, but then I fizzle out. How can I stay motivated? How can I get a student who's putting in little effort to put in more? Why does the skills training we provide to employees seem so ineffective? How often have you heard questions like these being asked? How often have you been the one doing the asking? What's truly amazing, if you think about it, is not how universal these questions are, but how long they have been around and how long they have gone unanswered. We humans are awfully clever. We are capable of self-awareness, introspection, critical thinking, and reasoning, but we still can't seem to get a handle on what makes us tick. Long ago, we mastered the ability to create and harness fire, but we still don't know how to light and maintain the fire that inspires us and keeps us moving forward. We need to understand how motivation works. Our ability to live successful, satisfying lives and to help others do the same depends on it. We suspect we might be missing the right stuff within us. As managers, parents, and teachers, we want to cultivate the right stuff in others. But what is it? We go on a hunt for the answer. We buy books, read articles, attend seminars, and generally spend a lot of time and money never really finding anything that seems like the answer we're looking for. Would you like to know the answer? Okay, here it is. There isn't one. I'm sorry, I forgot the italics. There isn't one, and therein lies the problem. Imagine that you make an appointment to visit your doctor to discuss your recurring bouts of stomach pain. Io walk into the examining room prepared to give her the rundown of your symptoms and the remedies you've tried so far. But before you can begin, she takes one look at you and says, "Obviously, you aren't feeling well. You should take some ibuprofen and lie down for a while." "Hang on," you say. "Don't you want to know what's wrong with me?" "I do know. You're not healthy. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here." These recommendations, which I give to all my patients, have been shown to make people feel better, so I'm sure they'll do the trick. She hands you a sample pack of Motrin and a fluffy pillow and bids you farewell. At this point, you would probably come to the conclusion that your doctor is an idiot. In reality, no physician, I hope, would diagnose and treat a patient that way, as if all illnesses were of essentially the same nature and could be cured in the same manner. But this is exactly how most of us approach the problem of underperformance, whether it's our own underperformance we're worried about or that of our employee, student, or child. Just like the misguided doctor, we assume that treatments that have been shown to improve motivation and performance in some staying positive, offering rewards, providing opportunities for skill development, setting specific goals, can help any underperformer improve. But experience tells us that this isn't so. There are no one-size-fits-all ways to get people motivated. Anyone who tells you that doing X will help you get the most out of your employees, your students, or even yourself isn't telling you that, at best, X only works for some people some of the time. That makes the picture much more complicated. Of course, doctors don't generally act this way in real life because they have an advantage with respect to medicine that the rest of us lack when it comes to motivation. Thanks to 4 long, expensive years of medical school, they have been trained to recognize that different illnesses have different symptoms and that they can use these symptoms to form a diagnosis and prescribe a course of treatment tailored to the problem at hand. Like illness, underperformance, or more generally, not being able to reach our goals, does not have a single psychological cause. If you want to get someone who's not putting in a lot of effort to put in more, you need to start by understanding why he's not putting in effort, because there are several different possible explanations. What we need, if we want to address underperformance meaningfully and effectively, is a way to distinguish among the different kinds of underperformers we may encounter, using their patterns of behavior to identify them in much the same way doctors use heart rate, body temperature, and blood tests. Once you know what you're dealing with, you can begin to treat the problem with a targeted cure, with strategies that are scientifically proven to work on your specific motivational ailment. With this short book, you'll begin your training as a doctor of motivation. I'll introduce you to 8 profiles of achievers, each distinctive in their behavior, preferences, and emotional experiences, and explain how you can understand each profile as having a particular mindset and motivational focus, coupled with either low or high confidence. Once you're able to recognize each profile, I'll describe the options you have for increasing effectiveness and engagement in that kind of achiever. First, you'll need some background on mindsets, motivational focus, and the nature of confidence. Mindsets. Be good and get better. We all approach the goals we pursue with one of two mindsets. I wrote about them extensively in my earlier book, Succeed: How We Can Reach Our Goals. The first is what I call the be good mindset, in which the focus is on proving to yourself that you have a lot of ability, demonstrating that ability to others, and receiving validation for it. In other words, you want to feel smart, look smart, and be told that you are smart, or creative, talented, persuasive, likable. Whatever the ability or skill in question, you don't want to be judged lacking. When you have a be good mindset, you are constantly comparing your performance to other people's to see how you size up. Often, this isn't totally conscious, but you're doing it nonetheless. You are reluctant to ask for help, afraid that needing help will reflect poorly on your ability. Why? Oh, assume that when something doesn't come easily, it means that you aren't good at it. Why? You live in quiet terror of making mistakes or coming up short, preferring to stick to the kinds of projects and challenges you know you can do well. When you have a setback, you react in one of two ways, and both are bad. The difficulties you've encountered only makes matters worse, further disrupting your rhythm. Why you freak out? Why you worry that you don't have what it takes? Your anxiety over your ability to think clearly and perform well. This creates a self-fulfilling prophecy in which your continued poor performance only confirms your fears. 2. Why you give up? Why you decide you don't have what it takes, so why bother trying hard when you can't possibly succeed? Why you feel hopeless and dejected, and you withdraw effort. This, too, creates a self-fulfilling prophecy in which your continued poor performance only confirms your feelings of helplessness. Not surprisingly, we find that when people have a be good mindset, they are more likely to suffer from debilitating anxiety and depression. They are less likely to enjoy the work they do or to find it interesting because they are so focused on the destination and not at all focused on the journey. They don't process information deeply. They develop just a surface understanding, trying to glean what they need to know only, which undermines their long-term retention of new knowledge. They have a long list of things that they simply aren't good at or just can't do, and are unlikely to have any real sense of their true potential. 1. The alternative is what I call the get better mindset, in which the focus is on growth, developing your ability, learning new skills, and making progress over time. Yayo can think of it as the difference between wanting to show that you are smart and wanting to get smarter. When you have a get better mindset, you care less about what other people are doing and how you compare with them. Instead, you focus on self-comparison and whether or not you are making progress. How well are you doing today compared with how you did yesterday, last month, or last year? The get better mindset makes you gritty in the face of difficulty. When you think about what you are doing in terms of improving over time, accepting that you will almost certainly make mistakes along the way, you can stay motivated despite whatever setbacks may occur. In fact, you can end up even more motivated by them. In many studies, we've found that those with get better mindsets seem to thrive when they feel challenged. In one study I conducted a few years ago, with my graduate student Laura Giolitti, we found that students who saw a test as an opportunity to learn a new problem-solving skill actually performed better when we made the test harder by frequently interrupting them. Those who were instead trying to be good, i.e., trying to show how smart they were rattled by the interruptions and performed significantly worse. 2. Since most of us who work in the real world feel we are practically plagued by interruptions, it's clear that mindset really matters. Everyone benefits from a get better mindset, and everyone suffers in one way or another when they think instead in terms of being good. Figuring out which mindset you've got on your hands is an essential part of your motivational diagnosis. And since mindsets can be changed, more on that later, It offers you a powerful means of treating underperformance. Motivational focus, promotion and prevention. Why do two people working toward a common goal so often fail to see eye to eye when it comes to achieving it? At times, you feel like you aren't on the same page, or even the same planet as your spouse, your child, or your colleague. Why the disconnect? The answer is a surprisingly simple one. As Tori Higgins and I discuss in our new book, Focus, use different ways of seeing the world for success and influence, there really is more than one way to look at the same goal. Take, for example, a goal that many of us share. I want to do my job exceptionally well. For some of us, doing our jobs well is about achievement and accomplishment. We have what is called a promotion focus. In the language of economics, promotion focus is about maximizing gains and avoiding missed opportunities. For others, doing our jobs well is about security, about not losing the positions we've worked so hard for. This prevention focus places the emphasis on avoiding danger, fulfilling responsibilities, and doing what you feel you ought to do. In economic terms, it's about minimizing losses, trying to hang on to what you've got. Promotion and prevention focused people work differently to reach the same goal. They use different strategies, have different strengths, and are prone to different kinds of mistakes. One group is motivated by applause, the other by criticism. One group may give up too soon, while the other may not know when to quit. So, do you, or does the person you are trying to motivate, spend your life pursuing accomplishments and accolades, reaching for the stars? Or are you busy fulfilling your duties and responsibilities, being the person everyone can count on? Once you have identified your focus, you can better understand and embrace your strengths, your potential weaknesses, and the strategies that will work best for you. Criticism or praise. When you are promotion focused, your motivation feels like eagerness, an enthusiastic desire to really go for it. Eagerness is enhanced by positive feedback. The more you are succeeding, the more motivated you become. Confidence heightens your energy and intensity. Doubting yourself takes the wind right out of your sails. When you are prevention focused, your motivation feels like vigilance. You are on the lookout for danger. Vigilance actually increases in response to negative feedback or self-doubt. There's nothing like the looming possibility of failure, so long as you feel it can still be avoided, to get your prevention juices flowing. Overconfidence or effusive praise, however, may lead you to let down your guard, and it can undermine your motivation. Embrace risk or avoid it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained pretty much captures the promotion-focused philosophy. The promotion-minded have a habit of saying yes to every opportunity, and they welcome the opportunity to take chances. Prevention-minded people, on the other hand, are cautious. They tend to say no more and prefer the devil they know to the one they don't. These biases manifest themselves in all sorts of ways. For example, people with prevention goals are reluctant to disengage from one activity to try another, or to change strategies midstream. But their more careful nature also makes them less likely than their chance-taking peers to procrastinate, for fear that they won't have time to get the job done. Why you think. When people are promotion-focused, they feel free to be more exploratory and abstract in their thinking. They brainstorm. They generate lots of options and possibilities to reach their ideals and are more creative. They are also particularly good at picking up on connecting themes or synthesizing information. For the prevention-focused, abstraction and creativity seems reckless and time-consuming. Prevention-focused thinking is more analytical, concrete, and specific. The prevention-minded are great with details and have better memory for what they've seen and what still needs to be done, the tortoise or the hare. Executing any modestly complicated task involves what psychologists call a speed-accuracy trade-off. The faster you go, the more mistakes you make. But going slow has costs too, particularly if time is valuable and you are in a hurry to get the job done. It won't surprise you to learn that promotion and prevention-minded people end up on opposite sides of this particular trade-off, with promotion-minded favoring speed and prevention-minded preferring the slow but flawless route, getting there and staying there. Promotion-focused thinking leads to energetic and enthusiastic motivation in the shorter term, but can be less effective when it comes to long-term maintenance. Prevention-focused thinking, on the other hand, is ideal for making sure your hard-earned gains don't slip away. It all makes sense. Armed with an understanding of promotion and prevention, we begin to make more sense of the things we do. Perhaps now you see why you've always been a risk taker, or why you've always avoided risks like the plague. It's clear why you are uncomfortable with being too optimistic, or why you are known for your sunny outlook. You get why some things have always been hard for you, while others came easily. Promotion and prevention also help us understand what other people do and give us powerful insights into our relationship ups and downs. Married couples in particular often waste much energy and create a lot of unnecessary animosity in their relationship, arguing over which person is seeing things the right way. Early in our marriage, my husband and I were constantly butting heads when it came to our toddler's budding ability to walk. He wanted to give them opportunities to climb and explore, while I wanted to cover them in bubble wrap from head to toe and make them wear helmets on the staircase. You can easily guess which one of us is promotion-minded and which one is all about prevention. Once you realize that you and your partner simply approach your goals differently, the good news is that you can stop fighting over who is right. You can more easily see what is valuable about your partner's viewpoint. The very best partnerships strike a balance between promotion and prevention, since both are necessary for living a healthy, satisfying life. Between the two of you, you'll make sure that your family has adventures and new experiences, while also making sure the kids have clean underwear and the bills get paid. Work with why you've got. There's no need to fight your focus. The key to optimal motivation is to embrace your promotion or prevention mindedness. Unlike with the be good and get better mindsets, both kinds of motivational focus can bring you success. And each brings something of value, e.g., innovation, attention to detail, to any endeavor. What you need to do is learn how to work with your focus to bring out the best in yourself. Certain ways of thinking, kinds of language, strategies, and incentives provide motivational fit for either promotion or prevention motivation. They just feel right, and as a result, they make us both more engaged and more effective. Once you've completed your motivational diagnosis, and you know you're dealing with either promotion or prevention, you can use your knowledge of how to create motivational fit to bring out your or their best performance. I'll describe how you can do that later on. Confidence. Don't need me to tell you that confidence is important. Confidence is, in a very real sense, necessary for reaching goals, particularly the difficult ones. Having it or not goes a long way toward determining whether or not you will persist in the face of challenges and ultimately overcome them. But it's a particular kind of confidence we need, not the swaggering I think I'm the greatest kind, but the more modest and attainable I believe I can do it kind. Albert Bandura, the father of modern social cognitive psychology, called this kind of confidence self-efficacy. For, in essence, it's the belief that you can successfully execute whatever behaviors are necessary to bring about a particular desired outcome. In other words, it's the belief that you can do what it takes to make success happen. How well does self-efficacy predict success? Well, looking across hundreds of studies, the average correlation between a person's sense of self-efficacy and his or her likelihood of success is about 0.34. 5. If that doesn't sound impressive, allow me to provide some perspective. The average correlation between tests of job aptitude, ability, and success actually doing that job is only about 0.19. 6. So self-efficacy outpredicts by quite a lot objective measures of ability when it comes to understanding who succeeds and who fails, which is why it's so important for people to have it, and for managers, teachers, and parents to cultivate it in others. Bandura argued that self-efficacy comes from 4 sources. First and foremost, it comes from our past experiences of success, particularly when the tasks at which we succeeded were difficult. When you have had a lot of mastery experiences, when you have risen to meet many challenges, even the occasional failure doesn't make much of a dent in your belief that you can usually get the job done. On the other hand, When people lack a track record of success, their sense of efficacy suffers. This is a big part of why workplace skills training is so important. People who are otherwise motivated but lack the skill set necessary to perform well are bound to have failure experiences, and these will chip away at their sense of self-efficacy over time. Through skills training, we can not only impart knowledge, but we can actually give employees success experiences when they master each new skill, thus increasing their self-efficacy as well as their knowledge base. It's a performance 2-for-1. A second powerful source of self-efficacy is the vicarious experiences of others, specifically observing the ease or difficulty with which those individuals have succeeded or failed. When someone makes it look easy, it increases our confidence that we can pull it off as well. This confidence can, of course, be misplaced. Experts often make things look easy that have, in fact, taken long hours of hard work to perfect. I, for instance, was once highly confident that I could make a delicious chicken dinner for my college boyfriend without consulting a recipe, after having seen my mother do so swiftly and easily on countless occasions. The painful bout of indigestion we both subsequently endured definitely brought my sense of cooking self-efficacy down a notch or two. A third source of self-efficacy comes from the assurances or warnings of others, the you can do it's and the you really shouldn't do it's, though this influence is not nearly as powerful as the assurers and warning givers believe it to be. I'm fairly certain that before that fateful night, my mother said something to me like, "Maybe you should go find a recipe and not just wing it, honey." I ignored her, and my poor boyfriend paid the price. Fourth, self-efficacy comes from our current emotional state. No matter how much of it you usually have, when you're feeling agitated or anxious for totally independent reasons, your confidence can be shaken. So you can expect mood to play a role, though generally it will be a small one compared with the influence of past experiences and vicarious learning. A word about positive thinking. Before we move on to the 8 profiles, I want to tell you something that is absolutely essential for you to understand about the difference between positive thinking and confidence. There are a lot of people running around extolling the virtues of positive thinking, of visualizing yourself achieving everything you want in life, and of ruthlessly blocking out any negative thoughts relating to your goals. Let me say right up front that I, too, wish I could make the universe deliver wonderful things to my doorstep just by imagining them. I can't, and neither can you, no matter what anyone tells you. There is not a single piece of hard evidence that visualizing the moment your dreams come true and doing nothing else will do a damn thing for you. In fact, there is plenty of evidence, 7, that it will leave you even worse off than when you started. Scientifically speaking, focusing all of your thoughts on an ideal future reliably leads to lower achievement. In other words, you are less likely to achieve your goals when all you do is imagine what it would be like to achieve them. Negative thinking, on the other hand, has gotten a bad rap. This is mostly because the people who advocate positive thinking lump all the negative thoughts together in one big unpleasant pile, not realizing that some kinds of negative thoughts are actually necessary and motivating. There is a big difference between "I am a loser and can't do this," a bad, low-confidence negative thought, and "this won't be easy and I'm going to have to work hard," a very good negative thought that is consistent with high confidence and actually predicts greater success. In fact, study after study shows that people who think not only about their dreams, but about the obstacles that lie in the way of realizing their dreams, believing they can overcome those obstacles and planning how they'll make it happen, vastly outperform those who sit back and wait for the universe to reward them for all their positive thinking. Whether it's starting a relationship with your secret crush, landing a job, recovering from major surgery, or losing weight, research shows that if you don't keep it real, you're going to be really screwed. Remember, confidence does not mean ignoring the reality of the challenge you are facing. People with high self-efficacy still have what some might call negative thoughts, like considering potential pitfalls and what your plan B might look like if plan A doesn't work. Don't confuse a lack of realism with confidence. and don't assume that someone who looks the facts in the eye lacks it. 8 profiles of underperformers. Now that we understand their underlying causes, it's time to start diagnosing patterns of underperformance. Each profile is a particular combination of mindset and focus, with either low confidence or high confidence. This leaves us with 8 unique profiles. 2 of these profiles are disastrous, motivationally speaking. 4 are reasonably effective, but problematic. Together, these 6 profiles are the ones we tend to worry about. Managers and teachers are often so busy trying to figure out how to help those who are clearly floundering that they ignore the ones who are working productively, but not as productively as they could be. The final 2 profiles are the ones who are ripe for reaching peak performance. I'll show the reader how to recognize who they are and explain what can be done to help. Note, for each profile, I use he just to avoid the awkwardness of he or she. Just keep in mind that these profiles are equally applicable to men and women. The teenager. The teenager, who, for the record, can be any age, is one of the most difficult motivational profiles you'll encounter. He is promotion-focused, pursuing goals with a be-good mindset, insecure, lacking in confidence. You'll recognize him immediately from the following behaviors. He is withdrawn or depressed. He doesn't seem alert or engaged. His energy is low. He lacks enthusiasm. When promotion-focused people get negative feedback or lack confidence, it creates a motivational non-fit. In other words, it dampens their motivation. He puts in very little effort. He does the bare minimum. His whole attitude seems to be, why bother? When people with a be-good mindset have low confidence, they have no reason to work hard. After all, what's the point of all that effort if they can't actually be good? He has obvious doubts about his ability. His lack of confidence will be apparent. He will probably make comments about how he just isn't good at X, Y, and Z. But despite his lack of confidence, he will be reluctant to seek help or guidance. This would just reinforce the perception that he lacks ability, and he doesn't believe it will increase his ability anyway. He engages in self-handicapping. In other words, he sometimes sabotages his own performance in order, ironically, to protect his self-esteem. That way, when he fails, he doesn't have to blame his failure on a lack of ability. The student who never studies for exams can say, I would have gotten a good grade if I tried, and avoid looking like he just wasn't smart enough to do well. The colleague who dresses like a slob or is always unprepared in meetings can blame these avoidable mistakes for his lack of advancement, rather than the possibility that he just doesn't have what it takes. And the spouse who behaves passive-aggressively rather than tackling problems head-on may destroy the relationship, but he never has to risk opening himself up and being vulnerable to rejection. He has bursts of energy that quickly fizzle out. Every once in a while, he'll look like he has turned a corner. Something goes his way or gives him hope, and you see the spark. But the momentum doesn't last. For as soon as the road gets rocky or a project feels a bit too challenging, it's right back to his old hanging out in his room with the lights off ways. Prognosis: disastrous. His low confidence, coupled with his desire to avoid looking stupid or incompetent, and his very real fear that he might in fact be both, makes the teenager a tough nut to crack. Deep down, he is his own toughest critic and worst enemy. Trying to build his confidence through skills training won't work, because he sees needing help as a sign of lacking ability. Telling him that he is smart and talented won't stop him from doubting himself when things get difficult. But without intervention, he will remain in a self-perpetuating cycle of failure. The show-off. The show-off is a more effective version of the teenager, though still not nearly as effective as he could be. He is promotion-focused, pursuing goals with a be-good mindset, confident. The difference between the teenager and the show-off is, in a nutshell, confidence. The teenager lacks it, while the show-off has it, rightly or wrongly, in spades. Here are his key characteristics. He brags and calls attention to his successes. It's not enough to succeed. He needs validation of his successes. He needs other people to know he is performing well and to think highly of his abilities. He tunes out criticism, sweeps failures under the rug. He does this to keep himself motivated and optimistic, but as a consequence, he doesn't learn from his mistakes or improve over time. He takes on too much. He says yes to everything. Because of his promotion focus, he hates to pass up an opportunity, but he is a poor judge of the time and effort each project will take, always thinking in terms of best case scenarios. He winds up with lots of pots on the stove, but nothing is ever ready to eat. He can be reckless. Sometimes it's good to be willing to take chances. There are even times when it's essential. But a go for it attitude can become reckless when you feel you've got something to prove. And his be good mindset makes him constantly feel like he has something to prove. He is competitive with his colleagues. The be good mindset makes us highly tuned in to how well other people are doing and how we compare. A performance is only good when it is better than someone else's. This also can make him less cooperative and willing to work and share information with others. Prognosis, problematic. The show-off can be very difficult to manage and even more difficult to work alongside. His competitiveness can be toxic to team morale, and he will sometimes, even unconsciously, sabotage team performance by holding back key information or assistance. He is highly motivated, so he is not without his successes, but he has a hard time learning from failures and constructive criticism, and his recklessness can get him and everyone around him into hot water. The neurotic. The neurotic is as problematic as the teenager, though his pattern of behavior is quite different. He may, in fact, win the title of least pleasant profile to work with or for. He is prevention-focused, pursuing goals with a be-good mindset, insecure, lacking in confidence immense. He is defensively withdrawn and often highly anxious. Like a human porcupine, everything about the neurotic says, stay away. Where other people see opportunities to get ahead, the neurotic sees opportunities to crash and burn. His workplace is strewn with landmines, and his entire will is bent on avoiding them. He's easily flustered and overwhelmed. Most people find the amount of work for which they are responsible at least a bit overwhelming. The neurotic feels like he is drowning, and he feels this way at almost every moment of every day. He is rattled by any change or surprise, anything he didn't fully anticipate. He responds with resentment or anger to new assignments. He may try to disguise it, but odds are good that he won't be able to do so fully, such as his fear of tackling something new or adding another responsibility to his already overwhelming to-do list. If you have the profound misfortune of having the neurotic as a manager, then you know that he is as hostile to new ideas and initiatives as it's humanly possible to be. He takes comfort in busy work and rules for self-protection. There is one place where the neurotic can find some small respite from the many fear-triggering aspects of his day. In familiar minutiae, the weekly report, the form filled in triplicate, the filing system, the formal procedures for doing X, Y, and Z. Here there are few surprises, few unknowns. Danger can be avoided by doing things exactly the same way every time. He lives in utter terror of making mistakes. This is perhaps the most essentially defining characteristic of the neurotic, and because he has low confidence, he's fairly certain he's going to make them. Ironically, the skills training that is needed to increase his confidence is likely to be ineffective. Large doses of anxiety make it not only difficult to perform well, but very difficult to learn. Too much anxiety can create a kind of mental fog or confusion that is difficult for trainers and mentors to penetrate. Prognosis, disastrous. It's true that the neurotic is a disaster. If you have one in your class or on your team, you already are well aware that you have a big problem on your hands. Not only is he fearful and withdrawn, but he is prone to flashes of anger when pushed too hard. This is basically a fight or flight response. He'd prefer flight, but if he feels cornered by you, he's got no choice but to turn nasty. He resists your efforts to help him, and when you praise him or express confidence in him, he doesn't believe it. Like the teenager, he is his own worst enemy and harshest critic. The stick in the mud, alternatively, the party pooper. The stick in the mud is a more effective version of the neurotic, though still greatly limited by his mindset. He is prevention-focused, pursuing goals with a be-good mindset, confident zone. The difference between the neurotic and the stick in the mud is, again, one of confidence. The neurotic lacks it utterly, while the stick in the mud has a bit of it, though not nearly as much as the show-off. He is, after all, prevention-focused. You'll know him by these characteristics. His confidence won't look like confidence. He remains cautious. The stick in the mud knows that the key to his success is to never let his guard down. He remains ever vigilant and skeptical. He thinks optimism is for children and fools. He sticks to what he does well. Chances are good that there are many things he does, in fact, do well, but he believes he knows his limits and never strays beyond them. This means that, in all probability, he is selling himself short and not coming close to realizing his true potential. He is very resistant to change. Sure, he'll change if he has to, but only when he is absolutely 100% convinced that not changing would be a mistake. He vastly prefers to stick with the status quo, with tried and true methods for doing things. He makes conservative decisions. His first impulse is to say no. He is overly concerned with making mistakes. With a be-good mindset, the stick in the mud is still very focused on proving himself. But unlike the show-off, he doesn't seek to prove himself through great accomplishments. He proves himself by having a flawless record, by never making mistakes, and always being reliable. He's not Mr. Right. He's Mr. Never Wrong. He is rigid about how things are done. Let's shake things up, or let's try a new tack, are not expressions that Mr. Stick in the Mud is familiar with. He not only prefers known and well-tested strategies for doing things, but he won't change strategies midstream, even if it looks like the current strategy is not working. Sometimes his stubbornness and persistence are rewarded. Other times they cost him dearly. Prognosis. Problematic. The stick in the mud has strengths. He is reliable, thorough, conscientious. But his inflexibility and reluctance to take chances make it difficult or impossible for him to see the value in creativity or innovation. He has difficulty with change. He is a micromanager, and he has a hard time delegating to others, for fear they will make mistakes. He is highly motivated, but he limits himself and those he works with by clinging too much to the status quo. The eager beaver. The eager beaver may lack confidence like the teenager, but he is more than willing to do something about it. He is promotion-focused, pursuing goals with a get-better mindset, insecure, lacking in confidence. Where the teenager's lack of confidence stems from his doubts about his ability, the eager beaver's comes from knowing that he has a lot to learn. He has a great attitude. He is willing to work hard and has a lot of energy. He lacks the skills to do the job effectively, but he is eager to learn them. He's ready to get his hands dirty and give it a try. In fact, he may even seem a little impatient to get going. You may have to remind him to apply the brakes from time to time. Even though he isn't confident about his performance right now, he is optimistic that he can eventually master the skills he needs. In other words, his performance self-efficacy is low, but his learning self-efficacy is high. He may still take on too much out of an abundance of enthusiasm, but he will be quicker to recognize when he is in over his head and will learn from his mistakes. He thrives on praise, which helps him to keep going when tasks are difficult. He will probably frequently ask for feedback, hoping for some positive reinforcement. He will deal with setbacks productively. He will certainly feel a sense of dejection when things go wrong, but that dejection will fuel his future effort and proactive attempts to improve. Prognosis. Problematic. The eager beaver is problematic only insofar as he doesn't really know what he's doing. His problem is a lack of knowledge rather than a lack of motivation or a maladaptive mindset. But it's important to understand how he will learn and what kinds of trouble he may encounter along the way. More on this later. The alert apprentice. The alert apprentice lacks confidence like the neurotic, but he isn't about to let anyone down if he can help it. He is prevention-focused, pursuing goals with a get-better mindset. Insecure, lacking in confidence. The neurotic and the teenager are insecure because they have serious doubts about their ability. The alert apprentice also feels all too keenly that he is in over his head, but like the eager beaver, he's determined to figure out how to swim. He is disciplined and focused. He is willing to work hard and determined to avoid error. He will put in long hours if necessary and takes challenges seriously. He lacks the skills to do the job effectively, but he is determined to master them. Unlike the eager beaver, he wants to be fully prepared before striking out on his own, even though he isn't confident about his performance right now. In fact, He's more than a little anxious about it. He believes he can eventually master the skills he needs, so long as he is vigilant and takes nothing for granted. He is a defensive pessimist, meaning he focuses on what might go wrong if he doesn't take the right actions. He may be reluctant to go from the learning phase to the doing phase, out of an abundance of caution. He wants to be absolutely certain he knows what he's doing, so he won't make mistakes. Why? You may have to give him a little push out of the nest. He thrives on honest, informative feedback and is distrustful of too much effusive praise. He will check in frequently to make sure he's not doing anything wrong or to try and catch a mistake before it becomes too serious. He will deal with setbacks productively. He will certainly feel a sense of anxiety when things go wrong, but that anxiety will fuel his future effort and proactive attempts to improve. Prognosis. Problematic. The alert apprentice, like the eager beaver, is problematic only because he lacks knowledge and expertise. His motivation is strong and his mindset is ideal for learning, but again, it's important to understand how he will learn, particularly that he will be slow and deliberate, perhaps frustratingly so. More on this later. The star who's almost born. The star who's almost born is what you are hoping your teenager, show-off, or eager beaver might one day become. He is promotion-focused, pursuing goals with a get-better mindset, confident. In fact, he's so terrific that as a manager or teacher, you've probably given little thought as to how you might make him even more effective. He is energetic and optimistic. Other people who work with him find him to be a source of inspiration. His enthusiasm and can-do spirit are infectious. He thrives under challenges. He doesn't want it to be easy. He doesn't want to do the same thing every day, even if the rewards for doing so are plentiful. He wants to tackle something new. He thinks big. He is creative and innovative. Because he is both promotion-focused and confident, he opens his mind to possibilities. Because he has a get-better mindset, he thinks deeply and makes connections. His imagination is not constrained by concerns with feasibility and practicality. He has vision. He takes risks that pay off. He'll take a chance, but because he has a get-better mindset and feels that he has less to prove, he takes smarter chances than the show-off. Prognosis. Ripe for peak performance. The star who's almost born is exactly that, a star in the making, who has all the necessary skills and plenty of motivation, but just needs to learn to optimize them. The expert in the making. The expert in the making is what you are hoping your neurotic, stick-in-the-mud, or alert apprentice might one day become. He is prevention-focused, pursuing goals with a get-better mindset, confident grandmas. Again, this is one of the very best profiles a student or employee can have. You can't help but be grateful that he makes your job so easy. He is reliable, responsible, and always prepared. Typically, the expert in the making is a paragon of personal organization, time management, and punctuality. He takes his commitments seriously and honors his promises. He's always ready with Plan B. Also Plan C and Plan D, though you probably won't need any of them, since his Plan A is practically bulletproof. His work is flawless. He takes his time and does it right. He also checks and sometimes rechecks it to ensure its accuracy. He thrives on developing expertise. Because he has a get-better mindset, he is focused on self-development, in particular on mastering the key skills that will bring him success. When he wants to know something, he wants to know it inside and out. He keeps things running brilliantly. Never underestimate the importance of maintenance. The expert in the making certainly never does. He will make sure that everyone and everything is where it is supposed to be. He will not fall behind, nor will he get ahead of himself. He makes it look easy, even when it's not. Prognosis. Ripe for peak performance. The expert in the making has the knowledge and the motivation. To achieve his very best, he needs to learn how to work with his prevention focus, and he needs to work in an environment that creates a good motivational fit. Diagnosis and treatment. In order to simplify your diagnosis, here is a brief summary of the characteristic symptoms associated with each of the 8 profiles, along with the corresponding recommended treatment. The treatments themselves will be described in detail in the section that follows. The teenager promotion focus, be good mindset, low confidence symptoms. Withdrawn, depressed. Low effort, demoralized. Self-handicapping for self-protection. bursts of energy that quickly fizzle out, doing the bare minimum, obvious self-doubt about ability. Treatment. 1. Shift mindset to get better. 2. Train and promotion focused skills and build confidence. 3. Create fit for promotion focus. The show off promotion focus, be good mindset, confidence symptoms. Takes on too much reckless brags. Tunes out criticism. Competitive with colleagues, fellow students. Treatment. 1. Shift mindset to get better. 2. Create fit for promotion focus. The neurotic prevention focus, be good mindset, low confidence. Symptoms: withdrawn, defensive, or highly anxious, easily flustered and overwhelmed. Responds with resentment, anger to new assignments. Takes comfort in busy work and rules for self-protection. Lives in terror of making mistakes. Treatment. 1. Shift mindset to get better. 2. Train and prevention focused skills and build confidence. 3. Create fit for prevention focus. The stick in the mud prevention focus, be good mindset, confidence symptoms. Won't look like confidence. He remains cautious, sticks to what he does well, resistant to change, overly concerned with making mistakes, rigid about how things are done. Treatment. 1. Shift mindset to get better. 2. Create fit for prevention focus. The eager beaver promotion. Focus, get better mindset, low confidence symptoms. Great attitude, eager to learn, impatient to get going, lacks skills to work effectively. Treatment. 1. Train and promotion focus skills and build confidence. 2. Create fit for promotion focus. The alert apprentice, prevention focus, get better mindset, low confidence. Symptoms: highly motivated to master the job, thorough, determined, lacks the skills to work effectively, reluctant to dive right in. Treatment. 1. Train in prevention focus skills and build confidence. 2. Create fit for prevention focus, the star who's almost born. Promotion focus, get better mindset, confidence symptoms, thrives under challenges, confident and optimistic, creative and innovative, takes smart risks. Treatment. 1. Create fit for promotion focus, the expert in the making, prevention focus, get better mindset, confidence. Symptoms: thrives on developing expertise, brilliant at keeping things running, excellent planner, turns in flawless work. Treatment. 1. Create fit for prevention focus. Treatment. The overall formula for treating each of the 8 profiles is straightforward. Once you've identified the right profile, then phase 1. If the mindset is be good, work on changing it to get better. If it is already get better, move on to phase 2. Phase 2. Provide skills training and confidence building if necessary. Know that the learning process is different for promotion and prevention focused people. If skills training or confidence building is not necessary, move on to phase 3. Phase 3. Start to work with your or their motivational focus. Use strategies, incentives, and work environments that create fit for either promotion or prevention. This phase is never over. Continuing to work with your focus is necessary if you want to sustain and enhance motivation. Phase 1. Shift from the be good to the get better mindset. Shifting why our own mindset. Why you might be wondering why this phase comes before skills training and confidence building. The short answer is, if you don't already have a get better mindset, skills training and confidence building techniques won't be nearly as effective as they could be. The anxiety, dejection, and defensiveness caused by be good thinking disrupt our ability to learn, and the self-doubt it creates makes attempts to build self-efficacy work only in the short term, if at all. So, by adopting a get better mindset, you're like a farmer removing the rocks and weeds from his land, readying your mental soil for the seeds you will eventually plant there. Using the be good mindset is a bad habit you would like to break. The biggest obstacle to doing so is that, like most bad habits, using the be good mindset has become relatively automatic. In other words, you aren't choosing to use it, you just do it naturally. Things we do without consciously realizing it can be the toughest to change. But you absolutely can change your mindset if you follow these steps. Step 1. Reframe your goals in terms of getting better. To do this, use the get better mindset, triggering words: learn, improve, develop, grow, become progress over time. Start by writing down a few of your goals the way you would normally talk about them. Then rewrite them using trigger words to take the emphasis off of wanting to be good and make your goal about getting better. For instance, I want to be a great leader. Get better version. I want to learn how to become a great leader. I want to manage my time productively. Get better version, I want to develop my time management skills. I want to eat healthy and exercise regularly. Get better version, I want to improve my eating and exercise habits. I want to be in a satisfying relationship. Get better version, I want my relationship to grow more satisfying over time. Step 2, make an if-then plan to replace be good thoughts with get better thoughts. I devote a lot of time to this uniquely powerful form of planning and succeed because it's useful in so many situations and because it makes you roughly 2 to 3 times more likely to reach your goal. If I catch myself thinking in a be good way, then I will focus on the get better version of my goal. Step 3, change your expectations. Get better thinking requires you to wrap your head around a new and more productive reality. You need to reject the idea that things come easily to those who have a lot of ability. Why you need to embrace the fact that when something is difficult and unfamiliar, you will need some time to really get a handle on it. Why you may make some mistakes, and that's okay. IO need to remember to ask for help when you run into trouble. Needing help doesn't mean you aren't capable. In fact, the opposite is true. Only the very foolish believe they can do everything on their own. Step 4, try not to compare yourself with other people. Instead, compare your performance today with your performance yesterday. Focusing on getting better means always thinking in terms of progress, not perfection. Step 5, be patient. If you keep refocusing your mind to think in terms of getting better, eventually this will become your automatic mindset. But changing habits, especially old habits, takes time, and you have probably been working with a be good mindset for many years. Don't expect your new mindset to feel natural overnight. Hang in there, and change will come. Shifting someone else's mindset. Frame goals and instructions using get better language. Those trigger words are powerful, and if you use them to describe the goal you want someone to adopt or the project you'd like him to tackle, then you can create an environment ripe for get better thinking. Describe new assignments as opportunities to master new knowledge and skills. Describe quotas and test scores as tools that can be used to track progress, helping people to learn and improve over time. Tell him it's okay to make mistakes. Even tell him you expect him to. I know that if you are a manager, this may not be something you are thrilled to hear, because immediately you're probably thinking, if my employee screws up, I'm going to be the one who pays for it. But in fact, when people feel they are allowed to make mistakes, they are significantly less likely to actually make them. Let me explain. When you have a be good mindset, you worry a lot about making mistakes. Countless studies have shown that nothing interferes with performance quite like anxiety does. It is the productivity killer. So by giving your employee permission to not do everything perfectly from the start, and by acknowledging that there is a learning curve and that improvement takes time, you are taking the anxiety out of the situation. And in so doing, you are not only shifting his mindset to get better thinking, but also dramatically reducing the chances that any mistakes will be made at all. Provide get better role models. When you hold up individuals as examples for others to follow, be sure to emphasize not only their accomplishments, but also the evidence of their get better mindsets. Talk about their persistence, their effort, how they tackled challenges and improved despite setbacks or initial poor performance. In some of my studies, I've found that using these role models, for example, telling first-year chemistry students about the get better mindsets of Nobel Prize-winning chemists, has remarkable effects on students' enjoyment of coursework and their overall course performance. Get better role models are another powerful way to convey the message that success is about progress over time. Give the right kind of feedback. Whether it's criticism or praise, follow these 3 rules to keep your students, children, or employees focused on getting better. Rule number 1, when things go wrong, keep it real. It's not easy to tell someone that he screwed up, knowing it will cause him anxiety, disappointment, or embarrassment. But don't make the mistake of protecting his feelings at the expense of the truth, because without honest feedback, he can't possibly improve. Remember that negative emotions exist for a reason. Namely, they motivate us to take action to fix the problem. And never take away someone's sense of responsibility for what went wrong, assuming he is in fact to blame, just because you don't want to be hard on him. Letting him off the hook for his own mistake will rob him of a sense of personal control over his own work. Nothing is more demotivating than feeling powerless. Rule number 2, when things go wrong, fight self-doubt. He needs to believe that success is within reach, regardless of the mistakes he has made in the past. To do this, be specific. What needs improvement and what exactly can be done to improve? When you are a manager, teacher, or parent, helping him figure out how to do it right is just as important as letting him know what he is doing wrong. Emphasize actions that he has the power to change. Talk about aspects of his performance that are under his control, like the time and effort he put into a project, his positive attitude, his persistence, or the strategic approach he used. Avoid praising effort when it didn't pay off. Many managers try to console employees by saying things like, "Well, Bob, you fell short of your sales goal, but you worked hard and really tried your best." Why does anyone think that this is comforting? For the record, it's not. Unless, of course, it was a no-win situation from the start. Studies show that being complimented for effort after a failure not only makes people feel stupid, but also leaves them feeling incapable of reaching their goal. In these instances, it's really best to stick to purely informational feedback. If effort isn't the problem, figure out what is and let him know. Rule number 3, when things go right, avoid praising ability. I know we all like to hear how smart and talented we are, and so naturally we assume that it's what other people want to hear too. Of course they do, but it's not what they need to hear to stay motivated. Studies show that when we are praised for having high ability, it leaves us vulnerable to self-doubt when we encounter difficulty. If being successful means you are smart or a natural best, then it's easy to conclude when you're having a hard time that you just don't have what it takes. Instead, praise aspects of his performance that were under his control. Talk about his creative approach, his careful planning, his persistence and effort, his collaborative attitude. Praise the actions, not the person. That way, when he runs into trouble later on, he'll remember what helped him to succeed in the past and put that knowledge to good use. Compare his performance to his own past performance, rather than to other people's. It's hard to get away from be good thinking when the grades we are given, or the results of our annual performance reviews, are always calculated relative to the performance of other people. To some extent, this is unavoidable, but we can support get better thinking by, whenever possible, recognizing and rewarding progress. A child who goes from a D average to a C deserves as much praise as one who goes from a B average to an A. Even if Bob is still the worst communicator on his team, the fact that his communication skills have improved the past year should be acknowledged and admired. When people know that progress matters, they implicitly get the get better message you are sending. Phase 2, provide promotion and prevention skills training and confidence building. How they learn. The particular kind of training you provide to your students or employees will vary, but their focus still determines to some extent how they will want to learn and how they will learn best. Knowing this gives you insight into what you can expect. Promotion-focused people should prefer on-the-job training. Motivationally, they experience fit when they sense they are moving forward quickly. It's important for you to provide frequent signals that they are doing well and making progress. It's also important for you to let them dive right into their work, even when they are new to it. The promotion-focused have a greater willingness to make mistakes and give it a try, and they grow impatient or bored when things move too slowly. Regular pep talks are useful, even beyond the learning phase. Prevention-focused people, in contrast, should prefer advanced training, an initial period of learning and familiarizing prior to beginning the actual work. Motivationally, they experience fit when they work slowly and deliberately. They will want to understand everything thoroughly before trying it out on their own. You need to keep in mind their strong desire to be accurate and their profound discomfort with making mistakes. It's important for you to provide frequent, honest feedback, particularly about areas that need improvement. Remember that they will need more time to feel ready, but on the bright side, their performance is likely to be high quality right out of the gate. Do yourself and them a favor and skip the pep talks. They will do more harm than good. How to build confidence. As I mentioned earlier, confidence or self-efficacy comes in large part from our experiences with success and failure. Effective training gives you the opportunity to start out with more success experiences than failure, thereby increasing your self-efficacy. But it's also important to think about our successes and failures in the right way. Learning to do this is vital if you want to flourish both personally and professionally. Take a moment and think about a recent success experience you've had, a time when you reached a goal or made significant progress toward one. I'll wait. Now, answer this question. Why did you succeed? What made you so successful? If your answer was, because I'm so smart, or talented, creative, gifted, etc., because I was lucky, or because someone else made it happen, then you have made what psychologists call an uncontrollable attribution. In other words, you attributed your success to something you cannot actually control, either a force outside yourself, i.e., luck, someone else's power, or something inside you that you can't do anything about, i.e., your innate abilities. If, instead, your answer was, because I worked hard, because I was well prepared and made a good plan, because I tried to stay positive, because I didn't give up, then you made what we call a controllable attribution. Attributed your success to something that is under your control. Your effort, your preparation, your attitude, your persistence. As important as it is to have success experiences in order to build confidence, they will do you little good if you attribute those successes to forces outside your own control, even if they're your own innate abilities. As we've seen, it's the belief that you can make success happen that is at the heart of self-efficacy, that it is in your power, under your control. The same holds true when it comes to thinking about our failures. They only reduce our confidence when we feel we are powerless to do anything about them. Making controllable attributions for our failures, blaming our effort, strategy, or persistence, makes improvement possible. It leaves success within reach. The good news is, attributing your success and failure to controllable causes is not only motivationally smart, but it's also accurate. Study after study shows that reaching goals is about the actions we take or fail to take, not the DNA we happen to be born with. For more on this, see Part 2 of Succeed. So if you want to increase your confidence, it's important not only to reflect on your past successes, but to think about how you made them happen through your own effort, choices, and actions. If you are looking to build someone else's confidence, be sure to highlight his successes in ways that heighten his sense of power and control. Note, prevention-focused people need confidence too, but it's not the everything is going to be great confidence of a promotion-focused person. It's the if I try, I can prevent disaster from happening kind. Remember, their confidence will never look like optimism. It will look like defensive pessimism. But without some confidence in their ability to keep disaster at bay, they will fall apart just like the promotion-focused do. Phase 3, create motivational fit. This is a topic that really warrants its own book, since there are so many ways in which motivational fit can be created for the promotion and prevention-minded. Luckily, that book exists. If you want to learn more, check out Focus. Here's just a sample of the techniques you can use to work with your own focus, or to create an environment that enhances someone else's motivation. How to create fit for promotion. Focus. Use praise and be optimistic. Do what you can to keep them optimistic about success, particularly when they have experienced a setback. If you are the one experiencing a setback, take time to recall some of your past successes. This should give you an optimism boost to help you sustain your eagerness. Give them something to strive for. The promotion-focused think of their goals in terms of gain. Describe the goals you want to reach as ideals, as opportunities for advancement, as potential avenues for reward. Give them opportunities to generate ideas and be creative. Take advantage of the fact that the promotion-minded are naturally inclined to be brainstorming, out-of-the-box thinkers. Recognize that they will prefer working quickly. Nothing dampens a promotion-focused person's eagerness like having to move at a snail's pace. Get rid of red tape. Give them a feeling that they are making progress rapidly toward their goal. Breaking down a long-term goal into shorter-term sub-goals may be helpful. To motivate, refer to abstract reasons. The promotion-minded think big picture. If you want your child to study for his upcoming chemistry exam, emphasizing how success in high school will open up doors for him in college and beyond is just the kind of abstract, forward-looking reasoning he's likely to respond to. When making decisions, they'll want to consider the pros. Help them make decisions by encouraging them to ponder what's good about option A versus option B. They'll make better decisions and be happier with the results if they do so with motivational fit. How to create fit for prevention focus. Use constructive criticism and be defensively pessimistic. Don't be overly effusive with praise, and don't hold back when there are suggestions you can make for improvement. Nothing should be taken for granted. Thinking about how it all might go to hell in a handcart is motivating to the prevention focused. It sustains and enhances their vigilance. Give them something to avoid. The prevention-focused think of their goals in terms of avoiding loss. Describe the goals you want them to reach, or think of your own goals as things that ought to be done, as opportunities to stay safe, as ways of hanging on to what you've got, or of keeping things running smoothly. Give them opportunities to analyze, to evaluate ideas, and to plan. Take advantage of the fact that the prevention-minded are naturally thorough, deliberate, and thoughtful. Recognize that they will prefer working slowly and carefully. Try to hurry someone who is prevention-focused, and at first they will ignore you. If you keep it up, they will start to get very anxious and quite possibly angry. They do not want to be rushed. That's how mistakes get made. High-quality, accurate work takes time. Be patient. The end result will be worth the wait. To motivate, refer to concrete reasons. None of that off in the future abstract mumbo-jumbo will work here. If you want your child to study for his chemistry exam, remind him that he will probably fail the exam if he doesn't, and that this will have immediate consequences, like being grounded. The prevention-minded want the cold hard facts of the here and now. When making decisions, they'll want to consider the cons. What's bad about option A versus option B? Which is the lesser of two evils? Decisions made this way for the prevention-minded feel right, and therefore will have greater value. Conclusion. Now that you have received your basic training in motivational diagnosis, it's time to put your new knowledge into practice. First and foremost, physician, heal thyself. If you have gotten new insights into your own mindset, motivational focus, and self-efficacy, plan out a course of self-treatment. Bear in mind that you may need different diagnoses for different areas of your life. You could be a high-confidence, get-better, promotion-minded professional, but a low-confidence, be-good, prevention-minded person in your relationships. Just as in medicine, the more accurate your diagnosis, the more effective the treatment will be. Next, think about how you might help the people around you, how to help your employees, coworkers, students, spouse, and children become more effective in reaching their goals. You can share with them the insights you have gained directly, or you can take a more subtle approach, using your knowledge of what will work best for them to create an environment in which they can excel. For you, underperformance is no longer a mystery illness. No more wild guesses, no more desperate attempts to try anything that might work. You are being paged, doctor. It's time to deliver the cure.